Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Gemini. If Gemini is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Ooh. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize as I start. If my voice is just a little bit scratchy, or I do a little cough here or there, as most of us are kind of going through similar. If you were in North America, on the East Coast, or, well, I think it's even hitting the West Coast too. All the smoke, unfortunately, from the Canadian fires. And poor Canada. I mean, it's just been a difficult year for them with their fires, and sending out a lot of love and prayer and protection for the animals and people and forests, and but anyways, I've been outside today and it has affected me. The air quality is not great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the tea leaves, see what they're saying. And I wanted to bring up that our card for tonight is the Hierophant. One of the most beautiful cards in the Thoth deck, in my opinion. I love the coloring. The symbology is gorgeous. Kind of has that Mesopotamian vibe to it, which I love. I love all things. As you can see, Mesopotamian okay, let's see. I like when we get these bowls that have like a lot of little formations kind of scattered but come together. It seems like we have quite a story. Quite a story. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna start. Maybe, let's see, we have what looks like, and I keep thinking, is this like a jet ski? And I was trying to think to myself, I know I used to know the difference between the ones that you sit on and the ones that you kind of stand up, and I think they're called like a Sea-Doo, or maybe that's like a brand. But I could never do the ones that you have to stand on the whole time. In the water, they're like a jet ski type of deal, and those ones were so difficult. I would always like fly off of them. And I haven't been on in many years, but when I was a kid, I used to go to the lake a lot and jet ski and stuff. And anyways, it looks to me like we have this little being here. They might have a bit of a trickster vibe with those two little horns there, and it almost looks like they are kind of in the water jet skiing or something like that. I feel like they're doing something fun. They are in some kind of adventure here, and so I feel like this really is a time of movement for you. I also see up here we have another, it looks like another kind of animal humanoid being. And let me see if I can kind of turn this, you can kind of see it looks kind of like a goat person or something like that standing up, and also looks like it is in movement. So I really do have this feeling of being kind of in a place of leisure or kind of adventure, perceiving life as an adventure right now. I feel like you are going on kind of a strange and surreal journey. Okay. And I think that this is actually something that's fairly mundane. I don't think that this is like you've set up a whole, week of, going to some like Burning Man or something, I think that this is, quite literally, you're just going about your business, your errands, and something is going to happen that, kind of leads you into a magical ordeal, kind of going through that sacred magical doorway, if realized or not, kind of down the rabbit hole a little bit. Okay. I also see we have 2 eyes here. Okay, so I really get the impression that you are in a configuration of kind of seeing that other side, or the in-between, kind of walking on what I like to call the borderlands, the thing, the space that kind of exists between the waking, material, mundane base reality and everything else that's out there, right? Dream worlds, fantasy worlds, interior worlds, nightscapes, the night side, the astral, the infinite dimensions, and so on. Okay. And so I think that you are perceiving things a lot differently than you normally would. Okay. So, you're a Gemini. You definitely are very psychic, intuitive, probably clairvoyant in some way. You maybe experience things that other people don't. Okay. I think that something about Gemini is that you always keep, at least more so than others, this ability to access your childlike wonder and your sense of awe. Okay. And I think that keeps you close to these kind of fantastical things, these supernatural things, these magical, hidden mysteries. Okay. You walk through them quite often. At points, though, for one reason or another, things become aligned in such a way where you are perceiving them more than usual. And I think that's what's happening here. We also have kind of another one of these trickstery entities right here, and this one looks just like it has a bag. Okay. And I almost feel like this is a desert scape. Okay. So I feel like this is kind of passing over into that spiritual, emotional zone. I think that kind of there is a sense of going about your regular life where something uncanny happens, or you walk into a feeling of the uncanny, kind of these liminal places that are so popular on the internet, kind of, if you know the aesthetic of liminal spaces, or there are tons of videos on YouTube, kind of look it up if you don't know. But this is that concept of like a space when it feels different than it usually would. It's kind of out of context. So like going to a school at night when there's nobody there and like all of the lights are off, and or it's just, you know, empty, and it just feels weird, right? Or a big one that they talk about is like malls, that like dead malls that are empty. There's like no stores in there anymore. They're still open. Here where I live in the Midwest, a lot of people use these kind of spaces, these malls, to walk, because we have such long winters. And so I have found myself in these kinds of spaces fairly often. And there is a weird kind of in-between feeling there. So I feel like this is kind of like all of a sudden you walk into some space that just feels odd. Okay, or something appears, and I love this concept. It's called, oh my goodness, magical realism. So this is like everything's normal, and this is kind of like a trope that's employed in movies and you know, literature and stuff. But it's everything is normal as it should be, and suddenly there's just like something odd, out of place, but it's kind of not reacted to as being strange. So like the one I can think of right now is this movie called It Follows, right? Where it's a creepy movie and it has like, you know, horror tropes and stuff. But there is just the, I don't know exactly the time period. It almost seems like the 90s, right? And nobody has cell phones at this point. Everything's kind of way more analog and whatever. But this girl in the movie, she has this thing that looks like a makeup, like with a mirror, like a compact, and it's like some kind of computer thing. Like I don't know, like she's texting on it, or I can't remember exactly. But nobody acts like it's weird, and she's the only one that has one. So this is kind of that. It's like these little Easter egg type of things that are just kind of in reality, right? And it seems out of place. So sometimes if we're in the right, you know, alignment of seeing, we experience stuff that is just kind of feels bizarre. Again, uncanny. And I feel like you kind of are going down this rabbit hole, totally drawn to it. Okay. And I think that that's okay as long as you are able to keep yourself kind of grounded in reality, right? You don't want to get dislodged from your ability to rationalize and so on. I see that we have a little boat here, so I think we definitely are going on a journey. And you know, I always like to mention when I have this feeling of, we have the tricksters, we have kind of these, you know, little magical adventures appearing in your regular life, messaging, synchronicities. These things can become very enchanting, okay? There's a lot of, interestingly, a good place to kind of read about how to protect oneself, or at least be aware, is looking at the mythology of the Fae. Okay, and there are a lot of books now because, you know, there's the kind of reconstructionalist communities that keep this Fae, I don't know, it's not worship, but beliefs alive, interactions alive, and so on. So a lot of the things are like, I'll just say, you know, one of the myths or things that, you know, the kind of warnings And here I see we have kind of this little circle here. Okay, and this is why I thought of this. When you find a fairy ring, which a fairy, gnome, whatever, these are all kind of these fae species, races or whatever. There are fairy rings. And if you don't know what that is, look it up, to see a visual. But basically, they are like rings that grow in a meadow or a grass or in grass or whatever. And this is like where mushrooms grow in a circle, or flowers kind of grow in a circle. And I think usually this is like where water is resting. And then, you get these kind of growth patterns. But the mythology is that if you step into one of these rings, you will get lost in the land of the Fae and you can't find your way home. Basically, you have to barter with these entities, these intelligences, to maybe bring you home. But they're tricksters, and they, their price is pretty high. And you'll have to read about that if you're interested. But so there's kind of a warning that when you experience, these kinds of strange occurrences in your life, when you are led in such a way, there is we have to be careful to not become enchanted, obsessive, fixated, completely distorted in thinking, because let's face it, when we feel something that feels extraordinary or magical or so very meaningful, it's very attractive, and this is kind of the same lore about the devil, right? Coming as something that's so beautiful you can't say no. You will follow it or do whatever it wants, right? And so we must protect ourselves, temper ourselves, make sure that we're making good choices, right? That we're not kind of being led down a path of destruction. And so as you encounter whatever this is, and I see a bridge with a person walking over, I think that it's just very important to remain mindful, to be checking in with yourself. Okay. And also, as I love to tell you for almost any situation, make sure that you are journaling, keeping records. You might later on come back and look at these things and see that there are patterns that emerge, that there are details that you kind of overlook or forget about. And any kind of magical work, self-work, when we're having experiences that are, different from the usual, we get very immersed, I would say. So it's important to definitely write this stuff down. And this could be whatever kind of motifs come up, whatever symbols, what have you. We also have a 1 and a 0. And this is actually, I think, the third or fourth reading that I've had, the 10 come up. So there's that again. So that seems to be really important. And the other one I wanted to bring up is there's an E right here, lowercase e. And I think this is the third reading this week. So these seem to be really important number, and 10 and the lowercase e. We also have an R, okay, capital R. So could be a name, could be a word. If this resonates with you in some way and you want to share it, please share. Let me know. I'm really interested in how these reoccurring letters and numbers kind of connect with people, because they have been maybe a month ago, I feel like we were getting a lot of 7s. repeating sevens. And so, you know, now we're into the tens and the I's, or I've had a lot of I, like actual I's, and the E, and, yeah. So also I want to just look at this one here. We have a person who is kind of sitting, and it looks like they have some kind of, almost like they're drawing on the wall or making some kind of movement. We have another person who's sitting with them watching. Okay, and so I feel like there is going to be somebody that you kind of commune with about this. I think that there's somebody who is also kind of witnessing part of this journey. Maybe they're having the same kinds of synchronicities. I feel like this is a like-minded friend, acquaintance, somebody that you can really, like, you know, dig in deep with. And I think that this will be fascinating conversation for you, and an important one. Okay. And then the last symbol I'm going to look at here. Well, we have two of them, because we have a tree here and then we have a tree here. And this looks more like an evergreen. This looks more like kind of a, maybe like a juniper or some kind of shrub, evergreen shrub. And, you know, I think that this is really a sign of vitality. These are, well, and it's interesting because it looks like it's kind of almost like somebody's falling out of it, or it's being uprooted. And, you know, I had this thought yesterday. There were a couple of things that came up, and it was an abundance of cats showing up in your life that were feral, right? Outside cats. The other thing, trees uprooting in themselves, or being uprooted by the weather, you know, movement in the soil has been really wet, something like that. Okay. And the other thing I think that really has been happening too is objects appearing, they disappear and then they reappear, after you've looked for them. And you can't put it down to any like person in your house, or really maybe you moved it, but it doesn't seem like it. So this kind of, not just once, but I think this has happened a few times. And so these came to mind. I was thinking about this when I pulled the card, and kind of, I like to meditate on the reading before I, you know, do it. And as I was setting up, I was thinking, you know, these things, these are like some brief images that came to me. So if those also resonate with you, I would love to hear about that. Okay. So let's see. We have a person that is kind of gazing upon, and it looks like almost like a garden or a forest, like maybe a grove. It looks like we have some animals here. So I see you going to kind of a natural place. I almost feel like this could be in a dream. It could be in the physical. But I think that you are going to go to this place to think, to contemplate. And I think that this will help unlock some of the things that are kind of going through your mind. I think that having a bit of disconnect from all of the lights and sounds and, you know, tasks and things like that, I think will help you be able to focus on some of the, you know, whatever the universe is showing you in fragments. I think that this will be a good place to kind of put this together. Even if this is like your backyard, right? And you're just out there staring at a tree or whatever. Definitely a good place to contemplate, okay? Now let's see. We have this week, the Indigo Sage Affirmation cards. Okay, and last week we had, I forget what they were called, but they were the red ones. My brain, it just, as soon as it's done, I can't remember. Oh, the Bohemian. Yeah, those are beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and kind of cut this somewhere that feels right. Maybe right there. Ooh, that one's pretty. Looks like the rings of a tree. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over, and it says, flourishing imagination with your sacred heart as a compass, soul bright, create the new. And so it is. Yeah, and this makes sense to me. You are very much in that magical thinking, kind of imagination. Things feel very close, immediate, vibrant. With the heart is your compass. I really think, following your intuition on these things. But of course, keeping yourself grounded, taking care of, your mental health, your physical being, making sure that you are, taking care of your responsibilities, not getting too lost down the rabbit hole on these types of things. It's easy to do that. As somebody who can speak from experience. So just make sure that you are not abandoning, your regular routine, but allotting time to kind of explore some of these mysteries in your own life. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. If you'd be so kind as to like the video, it helps us get into the algorithm. And as we know, the algorithm kind of decides everything. So we like to make it happy with engagement. And that can be liking the video, sharing the video on other social media platforms, watching the readings from the beginning to the end. If you have not subscribed yet, think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next videos are coming out. Other than that, if you want to leave a comment, I read every single one of them. Sometimes it takes me a day or two to get back to you, just because I like to reply to all of the comments, and life just gets kind of busy. So it takes time to go through them all. So I will get back to you, I promise. And I do love reading them. I feel like I get to know so many of you, and truly has made this channel feel like a community. I love seeing you all interact with one another. The love, the support, the kind words. It really is the energy that I've hoped would come from, this place, this channel. And I think it truly has become such a wonderful place. So, I just really appreciate all of you, because it's not me, it's all of you. You are the ones that make this channel. So thank you so much. All right. I'm going to thank you again, and we will talk in just a couple days.